Namo Buddhaya. Hello and warm greetings. Welcome to the Buddha Dhamma TV program. My name is Karen Tan. Buddha Dhamma TV is dedicated to bringing you programs filled with wisdom and compassion, featuring teachings from world-renowned Buddhist masters and authorities. Today, we begin our program with a sermon by the Venerable Ajahn Chah, who will be speaking about developing samadhi beyond, a universally relevant and inspiring topic. Please stay tuned as we embark on this enriching journey together.
I would like to ask you about your practice. You have all been practicing meditation here, but are you sure about the practice yet? Ask yourselves, are you confident about the practice yet? These days there are all sorts of meditation teachers around, both monks and lay teachers, and I'm afraid it will cause you to be full of doubts and uncertainty about what you are doing. This is why I am asking. As far as Buddhist practice is concerned, there is really nothing greater or higher than these teachings of the Buddha which you have been practicing with here. If you have a clear understanding of them, it will give rise to an absolutely firm and unwavering peace in your heart and mind. Making the mind peaceful is known as practicing meditation, or practicing samadhi. The mind is something which is extremely changeable and unreliable. Observing from your practice so far, have you seen this yet? Some days you practice sitting meditation and in no time at all the mind is calm, other days you sit and whatever you do there's no calm, the mind constantly struggles to get away, until it eventually does. Some days it goes well, some days it's awful. This is the way the mind displays these different conditions for you to see. You must understand that the 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path merge in Sila, Samadhi and Panya. They don't come together anywhere else. This means that when you bring the factors of your practice together, there must be Sila, there must be Samadhi and there must be Panya present together in the mind. It means that in practicing meditation right here and now, you are creating the causes for the path to arise in a very direct way. In sitting meditation you are taught to close your eyes so that you don't spend your time looking at different things. This is because the Buddha was teaching that you should know your own mind. Observe the mind. If you close your eyes, your attention will naturally be turned inwards towards the mind, the source of many different kinds of knowledge. This is a way of training the mind to give rise to samadhi. Once sitting with the eyes closed, establish awareness with the breath. Make awareness of the breath more important than anything else. This means you bring awareness to follow the breath, and by keeping with it, you will know that place which is the focal point of sati, the focal point of the knowing and the focal point of the mind's awareness. Whenever these factors of the path are working together, you will be able to watch and see your breath, feelings, mind and aramana, as they are in the present moment. Ultimately, you will know that place which is both the focal point of samadhi and the unification point of the path factors. When developing samadhi, fix attention on the breath and imagine that you are sitting alone with absolutely no other people and nothing else around to bother you. Develop this perception in the mind, sustaining it until the mind completely lets go of the world outside and all that is left is simply the knowing of the breath entering and leaving. The mind must set aside the external world. Don't allow yourself to start thinking about this person who is sitting over here, or that person who is sitting over there. Don't give space to any thoughts that will give rise to confusion or agitation in the mind. It's better to throw them out and be done with them. There is no one else here, you are sitting all alone. Develop this perception until all the other memories, perceptions and thoughts concerning other people and things subside, and you're no longer doubting or wondering about the other people or things around you. Then you can fix your attention solely on the in-breaths and out-breaths. Breathe normally. Allow the in-breaths and the out-breaths to continue naturally, without forcing them to be longer or shorter, stronger or weaker than normal. Allow the breath to continue in a state of normality and balance, and then sit and observe it entering and leaving the body. Once the mind has let go of external mind objects, it means you will no longer feel disturbed by the sound of traffic or other noises. You won't feel irritated with anything outside. Whether it's forms, sounds, or whatever, they won't be a source of disturbance, because the mind won't be paying attention to them. It will become centered upon the breath. If the mind is agitated by different things and you can't concentrate, try taking an extra deep breath until the lungs are completely full, and then release all the air until there is none left inside. Do this several times, then re-establish awareness and continue to develop concentration. Having re-established mindfulness, it's normal that for a period the mind will be calm, then change and become agitated again. When this happens, make the mind firm, take another deep breath and subsequently expel all the air from your lungs. Fill the lungs to capacity again for a moment and then re-establish mindfulness on the breathing. Fix sati on the in-breaths and the out-breaths, and continue to maintain awareness in this way. The practice tends to be this way, so it will have to take many sittings and much effort before you become proficient. Once you are, the mind will let go of the external world and remain undisturbed. Mind objects from the outside will be unable to penetrate inside and disturb the mind itself. Once they are unable to penetrate inside, you will see the mind. You will see the mind as one object of awareness, the breath as another, and mind objects as another. They will all be present within the field of awareness, centered at the tip of your nose. Once sati is firmly established with the in-breaths and out-breaths, you can continue to practice at your ease. As the mind becomes calm, the breath, which was originally coarse, becomes correspondingly lighter and more refined. The object of mind also becomes increasingly subtle and refined. The body feels lighter and the mind itself feels progressively lighter and unburdened. The mind lets go of external mind objects and you continue to observe internally. From here onwards your awareness will be turned away from the world outside and be directed inwards to focus on the mind. Once the mind has gathered together and become concentrated, maintain awareness at that point where the mind becomes focused. As you breathe, you will see the breath clearly as it enters and leaves. Sati will be sharp and awareness of mind objects and mental activity will be clearer. At that point you will see the characteristics of sila, samadhi and panya and the way in which they merge together. This is known as the unification of the path factors. Once this unification occurs, your mind will be free from all forms of agitation and confusion. It will become one-pointed, and this is what is known as samadhi. When you focus attention in just one place, in this case the breath, you gain a clarity in awareness because of the uninterrupted presence of sati. As you continue to see the breath clearly, sati will become stronger and the mind will become more sensitive in many different ways. You will see the mind in the center of that place, the breath, one-pointed with awareness focused inwards, rather than turning towards the world outside. The external world gradually disappears from your awareness and the mind no longer goes to perform any work on the outside. It's as if you've come inside your house, where all your sense faculties have come together to form one compact unit. You are at ease and the mind is free from all external objects. Awareness remains with the breath and over time it will penetrate deeper and deeper inside, becoming progressively more refined. Ultimately, awareness of the breath becomes so refined that the sensation of the breath seems to disappear. You could say either that awareness of the sensation of the breath has disappeared, or that the breath itself has disappeared. Then there arises a new kind of awareness that the breath has disappeared. In other words, awareness of the breath becomes so refined that it's difficult to define it. So it might be that you are just sitting there and there's no breath. Really, the breath is still there, but it has become so refined that it seems to have disappeared. Why? Because the mind is at its most refined, with a special kind of knowing. All that remains is the knowing. Even though the breath has vanished, the mind is still concentrated with the knowledge that the breath is not there. As you continue, what should you take up as the object of meditation? Take this very knowing as the meditation object, in other words, the knowledge that there is no breath, and sustain this. You could say that a specific kind of knowledge has been established in the mind. At this point, some people might have doubts arising, because it is here that nimitta can arise. These can be of many kinds, including both forms and sounds. It is here that all sorts of unexpected things can arise in the course of the practice. If nimitta do arise, some people have them, some don't. You must understand them in accordance with the truth. Don't doubt or allow yourself to become alarmed. At this stage, you should make the mind unshakable in its concentration and be especially mindful. Some people become startled when they notice that the breath has disappeared, because they're used to having the breath there. When it appears that the breath has gone, you might panic or become afraid that you are going to die. Here you must establish the understanding that it is just the nature of the practice to progress in this way. What will you observe as the object of meditation now? Observe this feeling that there is no breath and sustain it as the object of awareness as you continue to meditate. The Buddha described this as the firmest, most unshakable form of samadhi. There is just one firm and unwavering object of mind. When your practice of samadhi reaches this point, there will be many unusual and refined changes and transformations taking place within the mind, of which you can be aware. The sensation of the body will feel at its lightest or might even disappear altogether. You might feel like you are floating in mid-air and seem to be completely weightless. It might be like you are in the middle of space, and wherever you direct your sense faculties, they don't seem to register anything at all. Even though you know the body is still sitting there, you experience complete emptiness. This feeling of emptiness can be quite strange. As you continue to practice, understand that there is nothing to worry about. Establish this feeling of being relaxed and unworried, securely in the mind. Once the mind is concentrated and one-pointed, no mind object will be able to penetrate or disturb it, and you will be able to sit like this for as long as you want. You will be able to sustain concentration without any feelings of pain and discomfort. Having developed samadhi to this level, you will be able to enter or leave it at will. When you do leave it, it's at your ease and convenience. You withdraw at your ease, rather than because you are feeling lazy or tired. You withdraw from samadhi because it is the appropriate time to withdraw, and you come out of it at your will. This is samadhi, you are relaxed and at your ease. You enter and leave it without any problems. The mind and heart are at ease. If you genuinely have samadhi like this, it means that sitting meditation and entering samadhi for just 30 minutes or an hour will enable you to remain cool and peaceful for many days afterwards. Experiencing the effects of samadhi like this for several days has a purifying effect on the mind. Whatever you experience will become an object for contemplation. This is where the practice really begins. It's the fruit which arises as samadhi matures. Samadhi performs the function of calming the mind. Samadhi performs one function, sila performs one function, and panya performs another function. These characteristics, which you are focusing attention on and developing in the practice, are linked, forming a circle. This is the way they manifest in the mind. Sila, samadhi, and panya arise and mature from the same place. Once the mind is calm, it will become progressively more restrained and composed due to the presence of panya and the power of samadhi. As the mind becomes more composed and refined, this gives rise to an energy which acts to purify sila. Greater purity of sila facilitates the development of stronger and more refined samadhi, and this in turn supports the maturing of panya. They assist each other in this way. Each aspect of the practice acts as a supporting factor for the other ones, in the end these terms becoming synonymous. As these three factors continue to mature together, they form one complete circle, ultimately giving rise to magga. Magga is a synthesis of these three functions of the practice working smoothly and consistently together. As you practice, you have to preserve this energy. It is the energy which will give rise to vipassana or panya. Having reached this stage, where panya is already functioning in the mind, independent of whether the mind is peaceful or not, panya will provide a consistent and independent energy in the practice. You see that whenever the mind is not peaceful, you shouldn't attach, and even when it is peaceful, you shouldn't attach. Having let go of the burden of such concerns, the heart will accordingly feel much lighter. Whether you experience pleasant mind objects or unpleasant mind objects, you will remain at ease. The mind will remain peaceful in this way. Another important thing is to see that when you stop doing formal meditation practice, if there is no wisdom functioning in the mind, you will give up the practice altogether without any further contemplation, development of awareness or thought about the work which still has to be done. In fact, when you withdraw from samadhi, you know clearly in the mind that you have withdrawn. Having withdrawn, you should continue to conduct yourself in a normal manner. Maintain mindfulness and awareness at all times. It isn't that you only practice meditation in the sitting posture. Samadhi means the mind which is firm and unwavering. As you go about your daily life, make the mind firm and steady and maintain this sense of steadiness as the object of mind at all times. You must be practicing sati and sampajanya continuously. After you get up from the formal sitting practice and go about your business, walking, riding in cars and so on, whenever your eyes see a form or your ears hear a sound, maintain awareness. As you experience mind objects which give rise to liking and disliking, try to consistently maintain awareness of the fact that such mental states are impermanent and uncertain. In this way the mind will remain calm and in a state of normality. As long as the mind is calm, use it to contemplate mind objects. Contemplate the whole of this form, the physical body. You can do this at any time and in any posture, whether doing formal meditation practice, relaxing at home, out at work, or in whatever situation you find yourself. Keep the meditation and the reflection going at all times. Just going for a walk and seeing dead leaves on the ground under a tree can provide an opportunity to contemplate impermanence. Both we and the leaves are the same. When we get old, we shrivel up and die. Other people are all the same. This is raising the mind to the level of vipassana, contemplating the truth of the way things are, the whole time. Whether walking, standing, sitting or lying down, sati is sustained evenly and consistently. This is practicing meditation correctly. You have to follow the mind closely, checking it at all times. Practicing here and now at 7 o'clock in the evening, we have sat and meditated together for an hour and now stopped. It might be that your mind has stopped practicing completely and hasn't continued with the reflection. That's the wrong way to do it. When we stop, all that should stop is the formal meeting and sitting meditation. You should continue practicing and developing awareness consistently, without letting up. I've often taught that if you don't practice consistently, it's like drops of water. It's like drops of water because the practice is not a continuous, uninterrupted flow. Sati is not sustained evenly. The important point is that the mind does the practice and nothing else. The body doesn't do it. The mind does the work, the mind does the practice. If you understand this clearly, you will see that you don't necessarily have to do formal sitting meditation in order for the mind to know samadhi. The mind is the one who does the practice. You have to experience and understand this for yourself, in your own mind. Once you do see this for yourself, you will be developing awareness in the mind at all times and in all postures. If you are maintaining sati as an even and unbroken flow, it's as if the drops of water have joined to form a smooth and continuous flow of running water. Sati is present in the mind from moment to moment, and accordingly there will be awareness of mind objects at all times. If the mind is restrained and composed with uninterrupted sati, you will know mind objects each time that wholesome and unwholesome mental states arise. You will know the mind that is calm and the mind that is confused and agitated. Wherever you go you will be practicing like this. If you train the mind in this way, your meditation will mature quickly and successfully.
Now, let us enjoy a beautifully melodious song titled Lord Buddha Speaks to Me. This inspiring piece is performed by the talented group The Wayfarers, whose soulful rendition captures the essence of Buddhist teachings and spiritual connection. May this song bring you peace, inspiration, and joy as you listen.
Lord Buddha speaks to me in essence, Lord. My child, look up and learn the truth I show. Trust no delusions, vision, ever brief and fleeting, for only truth can give thee thy heart's desire. Lord Buddha speaks to me when sin holds sway, when passion's fire rise high and help seems far away. Fear not, for I have conquered passions fierce and raging. Tread thou the path I show thee, there
The Dhammapada is a regular and weekly presentation by Bdtv. He has already presented 69 verses with a brief sermon on each verse on Buddha Dhamma TV. Now, let's welcome Bdtv to present the verse.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Welcome to the Dhammapada program. Today we are going to discuss verses number 73 and 74. The Buddha uttered the following verse while residing at the Jetavana monastery. He spoke these verses with reference to a venerable Sudhamma and Chitta, the householder. The 73 verses, Asatam Bhavanam Chaya Bhikkhusu Pure Karana Avasesu Isaryam Parakulesu Pujach. He is fond of being recognized for what he in reality is not. This is something attitude of sick people. He is fond of being recognized for what he in reality is not. Yearns for preeminence among peers. He craves for preference in matters relating to residences. He is fond of the idea of receiving gifts and requisites from other families as well. The ignorant one has this attitude of mind. Let both the lay people and the clergy know that this was done by me alone. In whatever activity, small or big, my leadership alone should prevail. Everybody must follow me. This conceit of the ignorant leads to craving, uncontrolled desire, and to groundless pride, to a false sense of superiority, a superiority complex. These begin to grow. It goes little by little. So it is dangerous. Glory and preeminence, these two stanzas are entirely on various forms of egoism. Experienced in monastic life, these forms affect largely those monks and ascetics who are not much advanced in spiritual progress. Since they have not begun to cherish the real values of monastic life, they are enamored of fancy gifts, offerings, prestige, leadership, etc. These egoistic pursuits are pretty activities. These are not pretty, but petty, very low-level activities of those who are still in the foothills of spiritual ascent. These ignorant ones tend to acquire these assets of lay life they left behind, and their egoistic pursuits are petty, low-level activities. Being surrounded by retinues, being sought out to be given special presents, are all important to them. They are hurt if they felt that they are neglected. They begin to yearn for requisites from other families than their own to enable them to widen their circle of admirers. These attitudes mar or spoil their spiritual achievements. It's their spiritual achievement. The ignorant one has this attitude of mind that the lay people and the clergy know that this was done by me alone. In whatever activity, small or big, my leadership alone should prevail. I am the one to be recognized. I am the one who must be treated well. This kind of false understanding, this kind of thoughts, attitudes, indeed going to spoil one's progress on his spiritual progress. These ignorant ones tend to acquire these assets of lay life they left behind. And they, as monks, they try to gather with ignorance and harm their own spiritual way. They are hurt if they felt that they are neglected. He is fond of being recognized. Even without seeing the Buddha, I have attained the fruit of conversion. The lay disciple thought to himself, even without seeing him, I have attained the fruit of second path. I ought to see the Buddha. So he ordered, yoked 500 carts full of sesame, rice, ghee, sugar, garment, and other offerings, whether of food or else. He visited the Buddha and spent 1 month giving alms to the Buddha and the monks. After a month, Venerable Ananda asked the Buddha, Venerable, was it because he saw you that he received all these honors? Said the Buddha, Ananda, no matter what place such a man resorts to, he receives gain and honor. Asatam bhavanam ichchaya bhiksusu purekharanch avasisucha isaryam parakulesu pujach. That means fond of being recognized for virtues he does not possess. Among the monks, leadership, residences, Isarya, preeminence, parakulis by other families, puja's acceptance, recognition, and proportions, desires. These things, if somebody possesses, and if he or she is ignorant of his own false mistake, then it will be a disaster a cardinal error on his part. The conceit of the ignorant leads to craving, uncontrolled desire, and to groundless pride, to false sense of superiority. These begin to grow. The glory and the preeminence, these forms affect largely those monks and ascetics who are not much advanced in spiritual progress, since they have not begun to cherish the real values of monastic life. Gifts, offerings, prestige, leadership, etc. These egoistic pursuits are indeed a great hurdle on their spiritual path, They are hurt if they felt that they are neglected. They begin to yearn for requisites from other families to enable them to widen their circle of admirers. This attitude indeed going to spoil their spiritual achievements. In these verses 73 and 74, very important message to ordinary lay people is given. And although Buddha knew that the householder would pardon this venerable is stubborn in his pride, now let him go. And so, without telling him how he might gain pardon, he just dismissed him. The Venerable returned with the pride humbled. The Buddha then gave the Venerable a companion and said to the Venerable, "Go with this companion and ask pardon of the householder." Said the Buddha, "A religious person ought not to give way to pride or ill will, thinking, this residence is mine, this male lay disciple is mine, this female lay disciple is mine. For if we so did, ill will and pride and their other depravities increase." After listening to this admonition, Venerable Sudama bowed to the Buddha, rose from his seat, and then, accompanied by his companion monks, went within sight of the lay disciple, atoned for his fault, and begged the disciple's pardon. This lay disciple both pardoned him, and in turn asked his pardon, saying, "I pardon you, Venerable, if I am to blame. Pray pardon me also." The Venerable held steadfast in the admonition given by the Buddha, and in a few days attained arahantship enlightenment, together with the supernatural faculties. So these are the things that in day-to-day life, though we are not yet enlightened, but these thoughts harmful for our spiritual path. Therefore, we should try to get rid of these kind of thoughts, attitudes, egoistic ideas if we were to achieve spiritual progress. This is the meaning in a nutshell of these two verses. May you all be well and happy.
My child, he whispers softly, brighter light is shining. Hold fast the truth I gave thee, and thou shalt see.
That's all for today's program. If you have any questions or concern, please don't hesitate to contact us at info@buddhadharmatv.com. Our team is committed to sharing the noble, serene, and profound teachings of the Buddha, guiding you on your spiritual journey with his timeless wisdom. Thank you for being with us. See you next Saturday at the same time. Namo Buddhaya.